Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Women Who Rock the World. Today, with me, I have a very special guest, Eleonora Rocca.
Hi.
She she's from Italy, lives in London. She's an entrepreneur and an inventor, a spokesperson for women. But I'm gonna let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit of what she does.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Chiara. Yes, I'll try to summarize. So, I am the founder and managing director of Women for Impact, which is the largest Italian community about female empowerment, female leadership, and female entrepreneurship. I'm also an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. I've already created a company which I sold in 2020, and now I have Women for Impact as well as a digital marketing agency with another shareholders based in London, but working with a lot of companies all over the world.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, as you know, Eleonora, we this platform, my podcast, is all about women, and women like in different positions and leadership, and I'm all about empowering women, and I know you do the same. But I know the reason behind why I decided to do this, of course, other than being a woman myself. But how come? How did you decide to dedicate your work for women?
Thank you for this question. I think it's a very, very good question. So, reality is when I started Women for Impact, was in 2020, so just during the pandemic. Pandemic started in March. I started working on this project in July and launched it in November 2020. I was actually, let's say, experiencing the worst time, one of the worst time of my life, not just because of the pandemic, but because I was, let's say, I had experienced a very, very bad situation with people not being great to me in the sense of taking me to the point that I was completely burned out and, even exercising violence toward me, psychological violence within the workplace. So I said, I had to restart completely another project. I need fresh air in terms of what I'm doing. So I need to work on something else, but I want it to be something that allows me to turn this negative, very negative experience into something positive, and also something that can allow as many people as possible, as many women as possible, not to experience what I experienced. And I'm telling you why, because I realized, at least this was my experience, I realized women tend to be sometimes too empathic, too emotionally involved, too, let's say less focused on the results or on the business outcomes of things. Sometimes they tend to be very maternal. At least this is how I was. And this is a great skill when it comes to, it's a soft skills. Soft skill at the end of the day is emotional intelligence. Everyone is talking about it now. So great skill. But when it comes to business, it can be a huge, huge problem because you're not able to be assertive enough. You're not able to be detached enough from, a number of things that are happening and just focusing on what is the best for your business. So I said, I think women need training, women need empowering, and also, and then I close this long answer. And also, I've been working throughout my entire career within the tech space. So tech space is still 100%, almost 100% male dominated. So in most of the projects, teams, situations I've been working with, I was the only woman sitting at the table. And I had so many experiences during these years that I said, now this thing happened to me. I have to create something new. Let's do something, taking also all these things that I've been learning and seeing myself throughout my life. And then, yeah, Women for Impact started. But Women for Impact started as an event. Today is an event, but not only an event, a community, an ecosystem, podcast, and plenty of other things that kind of developed during these almost 4 years that we are not almost 4 years that we are born.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. You mentioned something like women have a hard time being assertive in the
Mhm.
workplace. No, I'm sorry. Based on your experience, how can women, people in general, be assertive, without consider, because it's something that I saw myself, at least, as a woman, if you're assertive, you're called bossy. And how do you manage this, and what can you tell women listening to us right now?
So I think it's important to be yourself, but at the same time, it's important to work on your professional area very separated from who you are as a person, which doesn't mean you don't have to put heart and passion and energy into what you're doing, especially if you are an entrepreneur or if you are maybe a manager, a senior position. You obviously want to have an impact, what you do, you want to see results. So you put all your heart or yourself into what you do. But at the end of the day, um, I would say work is work. I think we don't have to forget that work is work, life is life, and no matter how people who say, oh, if you haven't worked, if you do something you love, you haven't worked a day of your life. True, in a way. Obviously it's better to we have to work, right? Unless we are millionaires, we have to work. So great if you can do something that you love, you're passionate about, you believe in, fantastic. But it's still work, so it's not you. So I think the key thing is you have to be yourself, but at the same time separate who you are as a person to who you are as a professional, right? Also, the other thing is, on the bossy question, is you don't have to listen to what people say, because people are always going, this is something I really learned, people are always going to comment and are always going to find something wrong with you. So no matter what you do, so if you come to terms with this, you will enjoy your life a lot more. I give you another key point and example. So women are always judged whether if they are too family oriented, they say they're not ambitious. If they are ambitious, so they have kids and they also have a career, they say they're bad moms because they haven't got the time and all nannies and things, so they get criticized. If they decide not to have kids, criticized because you don't have that maternity
Instinct,
attitude,
yeah.
is you are losing something really key in your life. You can't be happy if you're not a mother, right? So I think all these things show you clearly how much people are always going to comment and how much this does not have to affect you. Because if it does affect you, it means you are living by someone else's choices, someone else's perception of yourself. Whether to be happy, you have to do what you really feel. This is what I always say to all the ladies in our communities, companies also we work for. We do quite a lot of work also with big companies, global companies on these topics. I think the key thing about female empowerment is not saying we are this, we need to become that, you have to do this or that. We need to say women need to start being free to choose what they want to do, who they want to be, without having to listen to all this criticism, because men are not criticized the same way. I never heard someone saying, oh, he's a CEO and he's not a good father. No one said that, because yeah, there is the mom, right? But the thing is, key point is, whatever you decide, whether you're a mom, single, or also this is also another thing that has been came up in a conversation with lady in my community recently. She said that at work, they tend to discriminate also her because she's single, saying that obviously because she's single, she has more time. She doesn't have husband, she doesn't have a boyfriend, and therefore she can work like late, whether people who have family or other commitments, then no, they can't work. And this is like not respecting the time of the person. What does this mean? If the person is happy and single and wants to spend their time on themselves, even on their own, can they do that? They have to, their time is not worth it as a married person. I mean, again, I'm married, happily married, but I don't think my time is worth more than someone who is single. So to answer to your question very briefly, we need to allow women finally to be free to choose whoever they want to do, whatever they want to be, and with no judgment or discrimination whatsoever.
Absolutely, absolutely agree 100%. And so, your company, like Women for Impact, you mentioned like now it's well, it started as an event and now it's so much more. I know the new event like is coming up towards the end of this month.
Yeah.
Can you tell for people that don't know you and don't know about your company and this event, what's gonna happen? Of course, the stuff that you can say, you can spoil.
Yeah, sure.
um,
Sure. So the event is going to be a very large conference with three different stages: a main stage, a workshop shop stage, and the second stage. And we're going to have over 160 speakers coming from not only Italy but also other countries, and they're going to share basically their life and career key points in order to inspire people within the audience who want to do the same career, or they are middle life career, they don't know what to do, so they want to get inspired by those leaders. It's going to be, let's say, a little bit like a TEDx, but not only inspirational. So we want to inspire, but we also want to give key takeaways and key points that people who attend can come back home and say, okay, I learned this, tomorrow I can change this or that. Obviously, within our, let's say, 3 days, we have a lot of those keynote speeches, but we also have roundtables, we have open space forums where people can have Q&As with the speakers. We will have networking business lunches, networking gala dinner, where we help people to increase and improve, their skills in terms of networking. And lastly, we are going to have a career days, we called career days area, where basically people can also speak to HR of companies which are mainly in the oil and gas or technology or finance, all those, let's say, fields where they're really struggling to find women when they have to recruit. So we thought it was good to give also the idea that you come to the event, you learn, obviously everything you're gonna listen, but you also have the opportunity, the real concrete opportunity to meet with companies that want to hire more women and are really struggling to find the right profiles. So that's kind of a key thing that we introduced this year.
Amazing, amazing. I was thinking, it's 3 days. There's like a lot. It's gonna be like packed. How do you get ready for something like this?
That's a good question. So the whole organization is 12 months. So the moment we finish the 2023 last year, we start in November. We started to work already last year at this edition. And then in 2 weeks' time, we will already be in the 2025 edition of Women for Impact. So it takes 12 months. It's not just me. Obviously, I have a team, people who work behind the scenes, and is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, and plus there are a lot of cost implications as well. You know, we definitely don't get rich doing the conference, but the impact that it has is really what drives us a lot, because we know that especially Italy needs some sort of, you know, boost on energy, and I feel that when people come, they feel the energy of the network. They feel they can meet people they can rely on. They can keep, you know, being connected during the year, because I think that's very important. Not just going to an event and, you know, go home. Okay, fine, but then we keep doing activities. We invite people inside our platform, inside our community. We have academy. We have, again, podcasts. We do meetups in different cities, even outside of Italy. And so we want this community and this conversation to keep going throughout the year. So organization is something, but something is also keeping the community alive and always ready for the next challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so grateful. You mentioned something that usually it's like a hot topic, but like no one talks about it, like cost, you know, and saying like an event like this one is definitely, you know, it's a combination of a lot of things. People might think like you do it for the money. No, you do it for people mostly, you know. And
Indeed.
but talking about the monetary side, which is often overlooked, and as an entrepreneur as well, of course, investing is fundamental. But
Yes.
what can you say? What can you say to people out there, to women out there, that at least there's something that I find in my field, you know, in music, investing and the outcome, you know, what's the threshold between investing and
Yeah.
then, because you're investing on yourself at first, and then when is a good time to stop investing, you know, like what's the threshold there?
So I think in terms of new projects, right? So when you have an idea, let's say if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, you have an idea, you write that down on a paper, right? So that's how everything normally starts. It's either in your mind, but normally we write it on a paper, we write it on a presentation, we write it somewhere. And then you start, you know, getting this thing, kind of making it alive. But then it comes, everything you do start coming with costs, right? So personally, at the beginning of this journey, I invested 50K of my own money, because obviously having done the previous exit, I was able to reinvest part of the money in this new venture. However, it was a risk, massive risk. Imagine launching an event in pandemic time, putting your own money, not investor money, which is very different, by the way, into that. Was, if I think about it now, to be honest with you, I feel I was crazy. I was absolutely crazy to do that. But inside me, though, I felt I want to try. And this is my suggestion to people. I don't want to say that obviously investing 50 grand, but even investing £1,000, even investing, you know, your time, right, isn't something people should do lightly. Like I do it, like all those gurus that say, go do it. No, this is not me. It never be me. But you have to come to the terms with yourself that you are trying to do something you really believe in. And no matter what, this is what you have to say to yourself, no matter what, if it goes bad, if I fail, it's fine, right? So I can do it. I'm not going to be ruined, because this is also another thing. I would never ever do anything that I couldn't afford to doing. For example, if you tell me, you know, sell all your stuff. I mean, if you have useless stuff, we all have useless stuff, fine. But I wouldn't say sell your house, or some people did, but personally I wouldn't say. But if you are able to invest and you believe in what you're doing, try, right? Then if it goes in the wrong way, you can always find a job. That's been always my experience. I think if you know what you do, with this experience, you're going to be even a better professional. So if you are going to get into the job market again, you will go into the job market with new skills, with things you have learned, people you met, and also you will be happier no matter what, trust me, because you have something you have done that was just coming from yourself. And I think this is something very satisfying. Unfortunately, every career has ups and downs. I think having a successful career can be also satisfying in terms of the corporate world, but nothing can be compared with something that you have created, that you have written, that you have transformed into something really existing. I think this is probably, professionally wise, for me, is the key thing to achieve, really. So that's my suggestion. So invest, yes, invest wisely. Try to risk if you can afford it. Don't listen to that back thing of say, oh no, I can't do that. You can also start small. For example, my previous company, it took 7 years before it became a proper business. 7 years I did it on the side. So doing something on the side is also possible, and I would suggest to do so, especially around these times. That is always a bit complicated. We are in a massive crisis all over the world, so I think it's safe sometimes even to sacrifice a little bit and do two things at once, because at the end of the day we have time. When you come home, how many of us go watch TV? You can watch a bit less TV, invest on your project. Again, whatever you do is gonna come back to you in a way or in another. So that would be mine. And then if like for example now for us, we got to that stage where yes, we are sustainable, we've always been pretty profitable. So let's say we can carry on like that. But at the same time, if I want my projects to grow, I need investors at this point, right? I have history. I have 3 years history, four edition, 3 years, 4 editions. I can share what the community became. I can share what is scalable, because certain things that are part of this project are not scalable. Some of the other things are scalable. So I can show to investors how I would grow this business even outside, obviously, Italy and Southern Europe. But for that, I need obviously investors. So the other thing to say is, at the beginning, you can play the game of investing yourself, investing your time, doing the side job. But then when you get to another stage of your company, if you want to grow big, then you probably would need investors. Or you want to sell some of your shares to someone who can come in and say, okay, I'm going to get XYZ of your shares. I'm going to put some money in the business so we can grow together. And also I can bring you some of the network I have. And this person not necessarily needs to be an investor. It might be a person who wants to work for equity. Some people say, for example, I need a CTO. Some people at the beginning for technology stuff, they need a CTO, they need a tech stack, and that is very expensive. And if you don't have the money up front, it's really complicated. So you could say, okay, I give you some shares, and you work for the equity of those shares, and you can build the app for us, for our company, and you are part of the company.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for this is valuable advice, for all the people out there starting out, and they want to build something for themselves, not just women, of course, but we're focusing on women because sometimes, as you mentioned, it's hard to combine psychologically even before you start doing something, because you're like, if I do this and I'm a mom, as you mentioned, like, oh, I'm not going to be a good mom, I'm not going to be. So like, I think it's important to what we're giving with this episode, like, get rid of the doubt, of any doubt, and doubting yourself, and doubting that you can do multiple things at the same time, because it's possible for any person, and it doesn't matter what we decide. We're valuable, because that's the important thing as well, to remind ourselves. um I think, I mean, last question for me would be very kind of simple advice for, I mean, you gave a ton of advice, and I'm so grateful, because you really opened up, and I do appreciate it. But last piece of advice that you would give women out there wanted to, not just to grow, but to start, and let go of anything holding them back, what can you tell them?
So I would say my advice would be curious, be
Mhm.
open, and think of possibilities, because there are plenty of possibilities. Sometimes we don't really see them, but they are out there. So find your spot. And the other advice I want to give is, um, find your network, your supporting network. Sisterhood does exist. Women, when they get together, and they get together properly, they're very powerful. So I think my advice is, invest time in meeting people, in having that coffee, in also connecting with mentors, people who have done something that you want to do before you. I think that really helps. I didn't have mentors, unfortunately, throughout my entrepreneurial career, especially for the corporate career, yes, but not entrepreneurial. And I think if I go back, I wish I could have that, because probably some mistakes that obviously I've done, plenty of mistakes, probably I wouldn't have if I had some guidance on certain things. So find also mentors and women out there. Now there are a lot of women out there, I feel, that want to give back. So it's not difficult to find entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, that want to help other women. At least my experience in these 4 years working in this space has been really good. So reach out to that person. Don't be shy. LinkedIn and everything that we have digitally wise. I mean, even me and you, Chiara, we met on Instagram, I think, allows us to really cut the distance short. So just, be prepared of being also smart and bright, and even if someone doesn't respond, I mean, write again. At some point they will, and knock that door all the time, because after a lot of no's, the yes will come.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree like 100%. Don't be scared to ask. Worst case scenario, nothing's going to happen. It's
Exactly.
like in Italian, we have that expression, like, you don't lose face. So, and then I think it's an expression that probably only exists in Italian, like maybe coming from like our culture to be conservative,
Mhm.
and be more scared and stay in our place. But like, don't be scared. You're not going to lose face. You're not going to, nothing's going to happen, worst case, and only good things can come. So thanks, Eleonora. Thanks so much. Thanks
Thank
for your
you.
time. Thanks for your knowledge. It was really, really precious. And yeah, and I'll meet you virtually and hopefully in person soon.
Yeah, exactly. Let me know when you are in London or Italy, and I hope to meet you. I might come to the US in
Okay.
April time, but I think it will be New York kind of area. But I'll let you know if
Okay.
you're
Yeah, let's
around.
stay in touch.
We can meet somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks
And
again.
thank you
Thanks
for
a lot.
all who have listened or will listen this podcast. Speak
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
soon.